Hello, Dr. Reyes. I hope you enjoy my presentation. This is all about my racial bag. First, I'd like to admit that as a white man, this was really challenging. I know that because of systems of white supremacy and other cultural factors and societal factors, I don't experience race as an integral part of my identity, despite it being very integral to who I am and how I experience the world. I have done my best to be honest and reflective, though, and I again hope you will enjoy it. So, second, I'd like you to note the decorations, there we go, on my lovely bag. After thinking about it long and hard, I chose to decorate my bag with the American flag. This represents a sort of vague white origin that myth and society have socialized me to experience racially. The design is simple and bold because as a white person, I get to experience my race in simple and bold terms, identifying how I want and with the items and practices that I want with no restriction or pressure from the outside world. The quote I've chosen is, "As a white person, I can openly and unabashedly reminisce about the good old days." This is from Dr. Robin DiAngelo in White Fragility. My first item that talks about my race generally is a cowboy hat. My father and grandfather were and are huge fans of Westerns. We are not going to talk about vaqueros, and whose job, style, and even name gave rise to the modern cowboy. And instead, we're going to be really thinking about the commercialized Hollywood depiction of a grouchy white John Wayne figure striding in to bring justice, morality, and good old-fashioned American values into the non-white and, importantly, chaotic West. This is all about how one of the main ways that my race is created narratively in society and how it's distributed around the world. My second item represents my language. It is a book called The Meaning of Tingo. My father loves language, especially unique words that don't have equivalents in English, which is why this is meaningful. The titular word tingo means to take all the items one desires from a friend, one at a time, by borrowing them. This book represents how my language functions, especially how my language functions racially, because English takes words from non-English languages, especially non-European non-English languages, and exoticizes them and objectifies them. English-centricness mimics whiteness in that example because it objectifies and then allows you to despoil these things of their resources, presuming that it's superior when in fact this book is prima facie evidence that it is not superior. My third item is for a cultural tradition. This is a Stein. I am not German, nor does my family have any racial or ethnic holidays we really celebrate. This Stein represents a more broad, piecemeal effort by white racial folks to take back celebrations and take back an identity that was frankly lost when we became part of kind of that vague white race in America. We can forget about how Oktoberfest is a bounty celebration shared all around the world, and really again focus on the commercialization, tokenization, and rampant inebriation associated with the ceremony. This represents my white identity because while I have very little idea of my ethnic or cultural origin, I get to pick when and where I celebrate and what things end up being meaningful to me without external pressures. My fourth item represents a food tradition, and that is tea. When I think of whiteness, I often think of the British. When I think of the British, my first image that comes to mind is tea. Herbal infusions have been part of indigenous cultures around the world, and the British didn't get this out of whole cloth. They took this from the spice trade, from despoiling large portions of Asia, and really the white practice around food that I would like to emphasize here is how white people will take an item and we will change the flavor, change the meaning, remove it from its cultural context, and then say that we did it better and make it a sign of sophistication and look down at people when they do it when it actually comes from their culture. That's just what we do. My last item is music, specifically nostalgic pop country. This album, Barbara, by drag queen Trixie Mattel, is deeply nostalgic for the 70s and 80s. Better times that we can kind of find through indulgence in the images and themes of this era. This echoes a deep, reflective vein in much of white media, especially music, celebrating the sweet, untarnished cream that floats at the top of our memories and ignoring the bitter, deep political and other divides, especially racial, that could make this a little less palatable. I really like this experience, Dr. Reyes. I really hope that you enjoyed it. Un saludo a ti y a tu familia. Gracias.